So the first Monday Night Raw after the Royal Rumble has concluded, so I'd figured that I'd take a seat and just talk about everything that occurred since we are on the road to WrestleMania. As you can see, I'm channeling a little Big Show today, so let's get straight into it. So the beginning of Monday Night Raw started with complete turmoil, and Bron Breakker was big mad, which is justifiable considering what happened to him at the Royal Rumble. So Bron Breakker, Paul Heyman, and The Vision are just coming out there looking for some answers. They want to find out who attacked Bron Breakker, and the number one person that would know that, at least to their words, is Adam Pearce. And quite frankly, Bron Breakker was killing the performance on Monday Night Raw. He made me believe that he was actually angry, that he was going to go crazy and berserk at any moment, giving me this lunatic fringe type beat. So much so that Bron Breakker says, "Hey buddy, I'm gonna give you the count to 3 to come out here and explain yourself." And one of the things that Adam Pearce says is that you drew number 2. And me as a viewer, I was trying to think over the last couple of weeks, and I don't remember anyone drawing anything except for Damian Priest. To my knowledge, I do not remember seeing anything of that sort, but I guess that is just something that they threw in there to cover their tracks. And I love this whole angle that The Vision is having beef with actual management. I kind of miss those storylines where management and the superstars get into it rather than just having superstars feud with superstars all the time. It's a nice change of pace. And what would end this little gathering would be LA Knight himself. And if you were not aware, LA Knight returned at the Royal Rumble and has been completely wreaking havoc on The Vision, which is justifiable if you saw what they did to him last. LA Knight would not only attack The Vision at the beginning of the show, but later on in the night when Bronson Reed would have a match with Penta, he would also interfere there, which would give Penta the win. And to make up for everything that LA Knight went through, not even counting the things that happened before I started back watching in 2025, you absolutely have to let him rain terror on The Vision. So next we would see what would be Gunther's first appearance since retiring AJ Styles. Now, I have been very critical on Gunther's personality and character after retiring John Cena, but I must give credit where credit is due. Him imitating AJ Styles' entrance, I like that. I like that a lot. But then we went right back to the repeated cycle. Boring. But then Dragon Lee, AJ Styles' former tag team partner, attacks Gunther, as you would assume, in the name and respect of AJ Styles, which would just lead to him being put in a sleeper. Following that, we would get what was supposed to be a tag match with the War Raiders, but then Obafemi comes out. And so when Obafemi made his entrance, I immediately thought, this is weird. In Obafemi's first appearance after the Royal Rumble and being eliminated by Brock Lesnar, we have him in a tag match? But then we hear Corey and Michael Cole confirm that, this is not a part of the itinerary. Then Obafemi just exerts pure dominance over the War Raiders. Maybe that's just showing how angry Obafemi is after the Royal Rumble. Maybe he's just taking out his anger on everybody. So we'll just have to see. Then we get a video package from Finn Balor. And in this video package, he talks about how he has always given respect, but the respect that he has given is never returned and it's taken for granted. He also talks about how he has been showing up his entire career and not just that one instance against CM Punk on Monday Night Raw. He then goes on to say that respect can only get you so far, and he is inherently not a bad person, but he is capable of doing some bad things. And it was honestly just nice to hear from Finn Balor, especially after not seeing him at the Royal Rumble at all, because the Royal Rumble was supposedly full, but we used 2 slots on both of the El Grande Americanos. But okay, it's whatever. Then Liv Morgan would make her appearance after winning the Royal Rumble. Congratulations, Liv. And then she would announce to the crowd that she's actually not sure what title that she wants to go after. She has a lot to consider, and she even considered going to SmackDown to fill out her options. Raquel Rodriguez would join Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio in the ring for this announcement. And you know, they would have a little kiki, you know what I mean? But Raquel Rodriguez would address the elephant in the room and say, well, hold on, sis. Why did you eliminate me? And Liv Morgan would respond in the same way that she would in the Royal Rumble post show, and she would basically say a win for one person in the Judgment Day is a win for everyone in the Judgment Day. So it really wasn't like that. And Raquel was very chill with it. She was like, okay, cool. But do me a favor, during my match for the championship against Stephanie Vaquer, stay in the back. Then she goes on to explain, I want there to be no shadow of a doubt that I won this title by myself. By the way, the match was a great match. I am kind of sad that Raquel lost, but nonetheless, however, during the match, Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez would come out and interfere or try to interfere in the match despite Raquel's wishes. And at the end of the match, when Stephanie Vaquer was celebrating, Liv Morgan would sneak her. She takes the Women's World Championship and she lifts it high in the air. This indicates that she probably will be going after that title. And my question for that is, where does that leave Raquel Rodriguez? We can only assume this is the split up of the Judgment Day. If Liv is going after the Women's World Championship, where does Raquel go after this? Or do we uphold the Judgment Day faction until WrestleMania? Or do we perhaps have a feud between Liv Morgan and Raquel until that point? And then from Mania, we work toward a feud with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Or maybe Raquel wins Elimination Chamber and she goes after a different title. One of my fantasy bookings was Raquel Rodriguez versus Jade for the SmackDown Women's Championship. So I wouldn't hate to see that. So let's get into the nitty gritty of Monday Night Raw, which is an amazing promo between CM Punk and Roman Reigns. So of course we have Roman Reigns make his first appearance on Monday Night Raw in a while after, of course, becoming the winner of the Royal Rumble. So he has to address the crowd and talk about what championship he will be going after. He brings up the possible opponents, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk. But before CM Punk addresses Roman Reigns, he would address Finn Balor. And you know, with the Tribal Chief, you don't acknowledge him first? That's a big no-no. And so CM Punk would basically say, oh,
you have the nerve to ask me to address you first, and you're the visitor on my show.
And so CM Punk alludes to picking the easy way out. And before we get into it, I just have to say, Drew McIntyre has to address both of these men on SmackDown. He has to, because the way that these men just had an ego trip on him for no reason, but there is no way they played on his top like this. There was shot after shot after shot after shot on Drew McIntyre. Drew, please say something this Friday. Please, I'm begging you. But CM Punk alludes to him picking the easy way out if he were to pick Drew McIntyre. And Roman Reigns basically responded with probably what everybody was thinking when CM Punk said that.
Easy way out? What? You do know that Drew McIntyre is 4 times bigger than you, right?
CM Punk responds with,
well, you know, I gave him Hell in a Cell and I beat him for 3 straight years.
Then we get into talking about the history between the two. And you know, in my last video, I said there was no story with Roman Reigns winning the Royal Rumble. And I didn't say that as far as meaning that there was no story between him and CM Punk. More so, he had been gone for a while, so I didn't know what story we would eventually go with. And as far as the story with him and CM Punk, I thought it climaxed because they shook hands at War Games. But Roman Reigns addresses this later on, so let's keep going. Roman Reigns basically states,
hey, I made a show for you to come back to when you left.
And then CM Punk would bounce back and say,
really? The time when you manipulated your whole family and your cousins?
CM Punk then brings up the interview that Roman Reigns had with Pat McAfee, talking about how Roman Reigns stepped away for a while to give other talent the chance to step up, and they never did. He also talks about him taking quarterly vacations. I don't know why I thought that was funny.
Just because you did it longer does not mean that you did it better. Roman, you chose to be a part-timer, while I choose to be here and defend my title and fight week after week after week after week for the people.
Roman would make a rebuttal and say, well, Phil.
Well, it's easy for you to do that now because you took a 10-year vacation.
Ooh, they was cooking with this. Then Roman Reigns really gets into his bag and he starts talking about how CM Punk made his life harder years and years ago in 2014. Referencing the CM Punk tell-all interview where he would basically talk about and express his frustrations with the way that creative was using and booking him. And one of the remarks that CM Punk made in that interview was that creative would always pressure him to make Roman look good, or to make Roman look strong. I think that's the right way to say it. Which would inevitably create tension between Roman Reigns and the fan base. It reminds me of the many promos between Seth Rollins and CM Punk. I guess there is one thing that Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns can agree on, right? And then Roman Reigns goes on to say, I'm not picking you because you're the biggest star. I'm picking you because I hate you. And so then he addresses the shaking of the hands at War Games. And that's what I wanted to hear, because how do you hate him when you just shook his hand at War Games? That's basically what I wanted to hear. Roman says that CM Punk mocked him backstage at War Games, which I don't remember seeing anything like that. I think they kind of threw that in there to cover their tracks again. I don't remember seeing any content on that story-wise, but so be it. But that is it, you guys, for covering Monday Night Raw. You guys let me know in the comments what are some things that you noticed and what are some storylines that you think will come of this. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. Well, alright guys, thank you for tuning in. I will see you guys later.